Okay, we have a number of announcements this morning. First, coats are being collected at our fellowship today as part of Make a Difference Day. So if you had brought any coats to donate, today is the day. Secondly, we would like to thank all who participated in our St. Luke's Free Mail Day yesterday. Wonderfully led by Sarah Severson, these people make, serve, and clean up on one Saturday every month. So congratulations to Sarah. Is she here this morning? I didn't see her. Okay. If you want to join this project, please make sure that Sarah has you on her email list. Now, Lynn Madsen would like to make an announcement as well. So, Lynn?
Our Lady of the Names. Sure, for our fiesta for the Day of the Dead ceremony next week. If you have somebody that you would like to have honored and remembered, please write their name on a card and put it in this can. If it is somebody who has been a member of CUF or a regular participant, you can write 3 words that remind you of that person. Also, next week, we will have an ofrenda set up here in the chancel. And if you would like, you can bring a picture of a loved one that you would like to have remembered. And before the service begins, we'll put the pictures up here. So, looking forward to seeing you all next week.
And now we also have a message from our auction team.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, here comes my best friend.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ruby's cousin, Emerald Davina, and I am green with envy. The auction starts Saturday night at 6 p.m. with the kickoff party, a live auction, and a raffle.
Oh, don't miss it or you'll be green with envy.
Put on your sparkly party clothes. And remember to bring your cash, cards, and checkbooks. If you can't come in person, join the fun on Zoom to bid on the live auction items.
There are already lots of great things to bid on.
Oh, I am green with
Envy.
I haven't donated anything yet.
It's not too late. Wednesday is the last day to donate new items with a value of $20 or more, or art pieces, services, or events. You can preview what's already been donated by going to our auction website.
You can also donate homemade, handcrafted items at the $10 or less table.
Do they have to be homemade or handcrafted?
Yes, and I am green with
Envy.
and how talented people are.
Silent bidding continues in the sanctuary until November 16th. Don't forget to keep bidding.
You don't want to see your favorite thing going to someone else, or you're going to be green with
Envy.
See an auction team member after, and the extra money we raise will go to our new building fund.
Let the auction team know if you are attending. It's a $10 donation at the door. Scholarships are available so everyone can attend.
See an auction team member after the service for all things auction.
Or contact Rita Salama or Louise Rasmussen by phone or email.
Envy, I have something to tell you. I think it's time we broke up. It's no fun being green with
Envy.
You'll have to find another date. I'd rather be having fun at the auction with Ruby, the auction diva. And all these other gems.
I'm so envious.
See you at the auction, everyone.
Okay, we should take a moment to acknowledge the land on which we are gathered, the ancestral home of the Piscosa. Our fellowship is located in the ancestral homeland of the Piscosa, and the Piscosa still live here. We acknowledge that their land, like that of so many other First Nations on this land, was taken because the U.S. government broke treaty obligations and carelessly allowed uninvited white colonizers to settle on their homeland. The Piscosa have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many generations. They have cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through generations. Let us take a moment to honor these ancestral grounds that we are gathered upon and support the resilience and strength that all Indigenous people have shown. We are honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. For more on this subject, please visit our Land Acknowledgement website page at cascadeu.org under the Welcome tab. Now, next we're going to sing the congregational song, which is Wake Now My Senses, and we're only going to sing verses 1, 2, 4, and 5. And let's see, I'm not sure, are the words on the screen? Oh, okay.
The words for this call to worship were created from our national statement of values, UU values, by a lay leader in Ohio. Love is not only at the center, but is also the source of opening that invites us to seek, embrace, and serve. Love invites us to counter all forms of oppression with justice. Love invites us to dismantle all forms of racism and systemic oppression to help everyone thrive. Love invites us to create more inclusive, equitable communities. Love invites us to know in our hearts that all are inherently worthy and have the right to flourish with dignity. Love invites us to participate in individual and collective transformation. Love invites us to cultivate change so that we may grow spiritually and ethically. We know that we are always imperfect and never finished with growing. Love invites us to revel in our uniqueness using pluralism as our guide. Love invites us to recognize all beings as sacred and celebrated. Love invites us to honor our interdependence with all living things in the web of existence. Love invites us to envision a world where all are free from exploitation. Love invites us to connect. Connect by opening our hearts to generosity. Love invites us to willingly and thoughtfully share our time and talent and treasure, and to connect in relationships of mutuality. Ultimately, love invites us to affirm what is of greatest worth, and that's what it means to worship together in love.
The chalice with the flame is a global symbol of the UU congregations. The Unitarians of the Czech Republic and Romania have added this symbol to their church windows to honor their connection to us. This morning in worship, all across this continent, 1,000 challenges are lit as beacons of light, guiding our people together. If you are on Zoom and have a chalice at home, please light it after we read these words together. The chalice lit among us is a beacon of hope in a world of troubles, a beacon of possibility made manifest in our lives, beacon of truth shining with shared wisdom, a beacon of community brightest when we are together. Okay. And now we move to time for all ages. If you are a child or a child at heart, and you'd like to see the images in this book or hear me more clearly, please come forward and feel free to sit up here in the front. Okay, the book this morning is by Steve Herman, and it's called Help Your Dragon Deal with Anxiety. The children can walk back to we're not going to make the tunnel, but let's sing our song, children, with your teacher, to go back to class. Okay, and if everyone will sing our song, now go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share. Now go with each other to find meaning in the spirit of love that we share.
Now's the time in our service we set aside with reverence, with honor, to mark the life events that have impacted us in a deep and personal way. This is not a time for politics or advertising. It's a time of reverence and care, of intention, of creating a loving community. We are all responsible for the caring ministry of our fellowship, but throughout the month our pastoral care team works. Our care team works to encourage and coordinate the work of our caring ministry. Today, Gary Pape is the pastoral care representative. Where's Gary right now? All right, so Gary, if afterwards you need to talk to Gary about anything, please do. Now let us take a moment to pause and think about how we can be mindful. Each of us has a responsibility to share only what we have been given permission to share if it includes other people, to support each other in our sharing, and to keep our remarks short. Apparently we can divide how long short or long is. You get to decide. The sharing and honoring is a door that we open to each other to allow for deeper connection. I'm going to take the flame down here. You will be welcome to come forward, to say your first and last name, share, light a candle, and place it near the center of the bowl. English approximation of the Hungarian lyrics to that song is find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Let us now, whether we meditate or pray, go into a time of shared silence in which all of our hearts are open and all of our minds are centered in the stillness and the essence of this world. It's just before Halloween. Halloween is an odd holiday. Its roots go deep into both the Christian holy days of the first century in Rome and the Celtic holy times of Samhain, and weird desires in human beings to dress up and fill their yards with inflatable sculptures now. Halloween is a day to embrace the creepy and the scary parts of life, to put the eerie on display, to wear things that remind us of imaginary and terrifying beings. Creepy and scary are both terms used to describe the things that induce fear or unease, something unsettling or mysteriously eerie or scary The word scary is much more intense, tends to be directly threatening. Creepy is what might make your skin crawl or give you a sense of unease. It's not overwhelming and is easier to deal with. So my sermon talks about the creepy rather than the frightening, the terrorizing. Of course, both are very effective in creating a sense of dread, of suspense, of anxiety, but they involve different levels of fear and discomfort. And I think the things that we can handle, the kinds of fears that we can face, the kind of fears that we feel we can overcome, lead us towards a sense of strength and well-being and goodness. It allows us to see the possibilities that are still in life for growth and new joy and beauty. So once there was this Californian who visited his church every day. I don't know what his tradition was, maybe Catholic. And he honored the saints. To all the saints he prayed, "In your honor, I ask that you keep my family and home safe." And then one day, an earthquake destroyed his home. And when he could finally get to church, he marched up to the minister and he said, "When my house was destroyed in that earthquake, my faith was shooken too." His minister asked if he had lost faith in the shared religion they had. And he said, no, God and Jesus are still in heaven above all this. But I did begin to think that the saints just are not as good, not as powerful as everyone said they were. And the minister starts to correct him, and then he continues, "No, then I realized that there are miracles every day, wonders. And there were so many people who were saved and so many things that were protected during this earthquake." And I thought, well, maybe it was just one of the saints that failed me. Now, I don't want to point a finger, not to any one saint in particular, but I just can't help but feeling it must have been the San Andreas fault. San Andreas. Even laughter allows us to face really terrible things and lifts us up above it a little bit to look at it from a different direction. Better than blaming someone or blaming something with supernatural powers, the ideal is to find what helps us face our fears and ride them through life instead of letting them ride on us and drag us down. For many, fear brings a little adrenaline rush. It can help us feel that life is a little bit more exciting. That's why some people are really addicted to horror movies and things like that. They like the feeling of the adrenaline, the waking up, the being aware. But far more important than just playing with sadness or evil or terror on Halloween or playing with it in any day, far more better is to face what scares us and empower ourselves to know that we are more than their equal. We need to know that we can outdo and overcome all that disturbs our sense of security and harmony and wholeness. In the end, the good is more powerful than the creepy. Ideally, the creepy empowers us to do good, to be good, or at least to be better than we were. The name of Halloween comes from the Latin word that applies to the consecration of certain persons or saints or days. To be hallowed is to be consecrated and set up as holy, containing the holy, invoking wholeness and harmony and beauty. All Saints' Day was set on November 1st, is now on November 1st. But it was launched in the year 609 by Pope Boniface IV, and it was held on the 13th of May. It was set for 50 days after Easter that particular year. And it was like this, it continued like this in Western Christianity for more than 200 years. Similarly, All Souls Day was held around Easter, a day to honor all the beloved dead. And there were stories and mythical images, fantastic images of the dead rising up out of the graves, passing by the people that they shared life with, and then moving on to heaven. There were images of people in purgatory being cleansed and purified of all their sins so that then they could go to heaven. This was the theology. So first the saints get lifted up, and the saints are all lifted up, and then all baptized Catholics could go. That was the theology. And then, of course, we talk about All Souls. I was talking about All Souls. There are many Unitarian Universalist churches, especially Unitarian churches, that were called All Souls. You can go worship at All Souls Church. There are several of them. And they were trying to emphasize that the all was literal, not just implying those few who were lucky to have been baptized Catholic, right, or baptized in the Lutheran or Methodist traditions. But all human beings, all living beings should be lifted up. Not sources of fear, not sources of images of suffering and misery and terror, but of being filled with light. Some traditions, Christian traditions, set the day still for All Souls and All Saints at the beginning of Lent. But in the year 837, Pope Gregory IV, different than Pope Boniface IV, Pope Gregory IV moved All Hallows Day to the 1st of November. The historical data on the motivations of the leaders at that time are not very clear, but many think that Pope Gregory was trying to smother the pagan rituals that were rife throughout all the Germanic and English-speaking peoples of the church. He was trying to get rid of these ancient rituals about spirits and things that were outside of the Christian imagery of the Bible. But as it turns out, folk traditions are very powerful, and they endured. And they started to merge and blend into All Saints' Day and All Hallowed Eve. The Saints' Day, All Saints' Day is the hallowed, and so on. Hallowed gets shortened to Halloween, and evening gets shortened to evening. And then the day after that, which is November 2nd, is the day to honor all those beloved dead, all those who have died and who we still love and who we still care for. Buddha might speak of life marked by suffering and the path of liberation from that suffering. Jesus and Muhammad both spoke about the evil in this life, but also the liberation from evil. In most religions, we find a key to facing and then rising above or being liberated from fear. When I was a little boy, my grandmother and grandfather, my mom's parents, lived up in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I lived over in Colorado. I was in Greeley, Colorado. But my grandmother, who loved to make things, sewed for me a ghost costume. It had these big flowy arms, and it had a hood with a face that was open. And then she bought me a plastic mask that I could put under this terrifying plastic mask. And I wore that every Halloween after that for 5 years. Just loved it. And it was great because I knew that other people would kind of see the scary ghost. They wouldn't see me, the sweet little Thomas, little boy who was kind of quiet and shy. They would see this ghost walking down the street. It was scary. And it was empowering, that sense of, I have as much power as a ghost to scare people, right? It stayed with me for a long time. Eventually I got, I was about 12. I figured I was too old for trick-or-treating. And so when I was 12 with my mother, I had two other friends, 12. We ran around and tried to scare little kids. That was our job, without costumes. Or maybe we had the costumes on, we weren't really trick-or-treating. And then after that, I went on to other things. But always my love of costumes and my sense of being willing to be Tor Johnson or some monster with horns on its head was part of my life. And I was confident about it. And I felt that part of what I understood as a teenager and a young adult was that I was showing that I was not afraid, that the things that we fear, the things that look scary, are just in our minds that they're scary. And that we can be equal to them in power. And we can walk with confidence. Even on the night full of scary images, we can be one of those images. And I always appreciated that about Halloween. Last few years I've been a golden dragon. The dragon is an interesting image because it can be really scary. There's the greedy, vicious, selfish dragon Smog that comes out of the traditional European images of dragons. But I've always had this sense of beauty in their flying. And again, it's a sense of courage and confidence and worth and power. And I liked identifying with that. So early on, I would draw dragons, and I thought they were kind of wondrous. They were filled with wonder, and I would draw them at my liberal religious youth, youth conferences. I would draw, people would say, draw me a dragon, and I draw them a dragon. One person said, put it in permanent marker on my arm. I didn't know if he had his mom's permission or not, or his dad's permission, but I drew a dragon on his arm. My youngest one of my, now the middle 6-year-old granddaughter became enamored with dragons. They're artists. All those girls under Emily brought them here once. And she loved drawing dragons, and I knew that part of what she was doing, it was very clear, was she wanted to identify with her grandpa. She likes me, and I like dragons, so she likes dragons too. And then she saw the movie Raya and the Last Dragon, which is a story in which the dragon is a good source of goodness and helps this young woman heal divisions between her people and end a war. Image of goodness and strength. And in the Chinese traditions, the dragon, a creature made of many different pieces, is glorious. Lifts up the clouds and brings down the rain and helps things grow. This image of something that's mysterious and hard to understand and beyond our powers, and yet is still allied with us. So the first value is to admit that there are things that are scary. To admit that there are things that you can worry about, but that there are also things, powers and possibilities in this life that you can rely on to bring healing after there has been ruin, to bring life again, to heal the divisions. This is a terrible world now. We know how divided it is. And we have put up signs on our doors, on all our doors. The signs were about ICE, telling people that the immigration department cannot come in here without a valid warrant. It summons a scary image of federal agents coming to our church and walking in and trying to grab someone. We all know about these things, but by putting up the sign, we're saying, we're not going to let you do that. We understand that we have powers granted by the government, powers granted by the federal government, by the Constitution, and just by human dignity. And we will not let you scare us. And we know, especially the people who come here, we have a congregation, a Spanish-speaking congregation that rents from us, or lately they've just been just coming and being here as to see this as a safe place, to say we know what's scary. We know what's divisive. We know what's bad in the world. We're willing to admit these things, and then we're willing to grab the power we have to stand against those evils, or to even be dragons, breathe fire against the evil of ICE, melt it. Remember my father telling me about the 20s and 30s, 40s. And he was telling me about President Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt, especially. And how in the 20s and the 30s, there were these robber barons. People who had concentrated all the great growing wealth of America and then had mishandled it and caused disaster, starvation, homelessness for swaths of this country. And then a president came in with a new deal that was trying to help people, was trying to share our resources in ways that would lift people up, create programs that would give jobs for people to work in the public parks in order to regain their life and regain their confidence, to admit that there is sorrow and need and pain, and then to help people find wholeness again. I do not know some days whether it's better to think of the head of our current federal government as creepy or scary, or sometimes just silly. I just go with just silly. But we know that the evil spirits, the gestalt of fear and hatred and aggression, can be countered. We can be as strong and brave when we talk about love and justice, when we talk about equity and generosity, when we talk about inclusion and transformation. We know that power is as great as any of the scary, hateful, hurtful things in this world. In the story about the dragon, Didgeridoo said, if you're anxious and you wring your hands, if you cry and pace the floor, if you need to learn that there's always something more. The time that he wasted with worry and distress, he suffered from anxiety and fretted to excess, he let go of his fretting, let go of his worry. For instance, he says, if you have a speech to make, you'll be fine if you're prepared. There are always things you can do when you are feeling anxious and don't know what to do. And do not ask simply what will go bad, or you'll fall down the well of worry. Instead, simply ask, what if all goes well and I'm the MVP? Always I use meditation or prayer to center myself in well-being and deep peace. I started the practice of deep silent Buddhist meditation in 1997. I have done it inconsistently until the last 5-10 years, and then recently I've been being much more disciplined about it, doing it much more often. And I find it's becoming easier and easier for me, no matter how angry I am, no matter how upset I am, no matter how furious I am. I can just do that deep breath, and it reminds me, and I can smile a little, and that reminds me even more of the goodness that's at the center of my heart, and that I share with all of you and with all people of goodwill on this earth. Always there's something you can do. And then I think about big protests we've had. The last No Kings protest was fun. It has positive energy. All these people, 2,000 people from the Wenatchee area showing up. And it's fun to see these new inflatable costumes. It's a way of saying, you're not going to make me sad. I'm going to laugh in your face. And if you attack me, you're going to look pretty sad, pulling down Pikachu or something like that, right? My wife pointed out that there was a story, I didn't quite get the city, but there was a story where a woman dressed herself as an inflatable penis. And then the agents came and tried to take her down because she wouldn't take the costume off. They thought she was embarrassing everyone. And so there's this film of federal officers trying to take down a giant penis. It's very funny. I just thought that was so hilarious. But it's just a way of saying, we're not going to be destroyed by this hatred. We're not going to be pulled down the well of sorrow and darkness. As the world grows darker, as more and more people suffer, we will continue to smile, to love one another, and to find the people who need our care, who need free food. We're still giving away free food. And someone came up the other day, and I could just tell. I said, did you find anything you needed? And he said, yeah. It was really nice. That's just this glow on his face in a sense that we were making his life better. I don't know who he was, never saw him again. we're doing these things, doing so many things, working in all sorts of ways to keep hope alive, to keep happiness alive. Now, to further invoke the beauty and the joy and the goodness that helps us face fear and rise above it, I invite the choir to stand up and sing this hymn, All Things Bright and Beautiful by John Rutter.
Giving is an ancient element of worship. Giving, regardless of the amount, is a spiritual practice that expresses our thankfulness and generosity. Joyfully sharing our gifts and strengths in service to the greater good is one way we create the beloved community. We live these values in abundance. We are blessed by your generosity. May your gifts make a difference in our communities through the ministries of this church. May our ministry to one another help our light grow. And now let's sing our closing song. It's number 44 in the hymnal. We Sing of Golden Mornings, music by William Walker, words by Ralph Waldo Emerson, with an additional verse by Larry Tobisca. And the last verse will not be in your hymnal, but will be up on the screen.
To go from this hour, as we prepare to go from this place, let us be glad for it. It was really fun for me to choose images for the slideshow. I got to do that this week, and it was nice to find images of Wenatchee and the Wenatchee Valley, places of beauty, places of joy, places of peace and love. As we go out, even on this grayish day, may we find all that lifts us up and helps us not be dragged down by the scary and the creepy, but make us feel powerful and joyous. Amen.
Let us, we extinguish this flame, say the words with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and embody in our lives until we are together again. Now let's form our circle and sing our closing song.